There are victories on earth that people celebrate for a few days and then forget, but there are other victories so powerful that even heaven witnesses them. This message is for the chosen one who almost gave up, the one who cried in silence, fought battles nobody understood, and stayed loyal to Allah while life kept testing them. People saw your delays and thought you were losing. They saw your patience and mistook it for weakness. But what they did not know is that every prayer, every sacrifice, every moment you chose faith over anger was being recorded by Allah. And now something has changed. The pain that was supposed to destroy you actually transformed you. The struggle that nearly broke you became the reason heaven celebrated your rise. Tonight, you will understand why your soul feels different, and why Allah allowed you to survive what others never could. Lesson 1. Your greatest victory was becoming someone pain could not corrupt. Most people think victory means money, success, status, or finally proving everyone wrong. But for a chosen one, the greatest victory is much deeper than that. Your real victory was surviving pain without letting it turn your heart cold. You went through betrayal from people you trusted, disrespect from people you helped, and lonely nights where it felt like nobody truly understood your struggle. You had every reason to become bitter, angry, and hateful, yet you still chose faith over revenge and patience over destruction. While others would have allowed pain to make them toxic, you fought one of the hardest battles a person can fight, protecting your soul after life treated you unfairly. You kept praying even when you were emotionally exhausted, kept believing even when answers were delayed, and kept showing kindness while others showed cruelty. That is why your spirit feels stronger now, because Allah used your hardship to build wisdom, emotional strength, and deeper faith inside you. The pain that once broke you slowly became the thing that opened your eyes, strengthened your character, and brought you closer to Allah. You are no longer desperate for people's approval, because suffering taught you your true value, and that calm strength people notice in you now did not come from an easy life. It came from surviving storms that should have destroyed you while keeping your faith in Allah alive. Lesson 2. Allah delayed your success because your soul needed preparation. There were moments when you felt forgotten because your prayers were taking too long to be answered. You watched other people move ahead while you stayed stuck in seasons of waiting, confusion, and silent struggle. Sometimes you even questioned why Allah allowed so many delays in your life when your intentions were sincere. But what you did not realize was that Allah was protecting you through the waiting season. Some blessings arrive too early and destroy people who are not spiritually ready for them. So while you thought Allah was delaying your success, He was actually preparing your mind, your character, and your soul for a greater future. He was teaching you patience, emotional control, discipline, and complete dependence on Him instead of dependence on people. The old version of you would have been destroyed by the pressure of the blessings you were asking for, but the stronger version of you being built now can finally carry them wisely. That is why your journey was slower, because Allah was not only trying to bless your life, He was trying to transform you into someone strong enough to handle the blessing without losing yourself in the process. Lesson 3. The people who hurt you accidentally helped fulfill Allah's plan. One of the hardest things for a chosen one to understand is that some of the pain you experienced was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to redirect you toward the life Allah planned for you. The betrayal, rejection, abandonment, disrespect, and heartbreak felt deeply personal at the time, and there were moments when you probably questioned why Allah allowed certain people to hurt you after you gave them loyalty, kindness, and sincerity. But looking back now, you can finally see that many of the people who walked away from you were actually removing themselves from a chapter they were never meant to enter. If some people had stayed in your life, they would have distracted you from your purpose, weakened your spirit, or kept you emotionally attached to places Allah was trying to free you from. What felt like loss was often protection in disguise. Allah allowed certain doors to close because your future was too important to be connected to people who could not recognize your value. The loneliness pushed you closer to Allah. The betrayal taught you discernment. The rejection forced you to stop chasing human validation and start discovering your worth through your relationship with Allah. Even your pain had purpose. Every difficult season was slowly building emotional strength, wisdom, and spiritual maturity inside you. And now the same people who underestimated you are confused by the peace, strength, and confidence you carry today, because they expected the pressure to break you, but instead, it transformed you. They saw your struggle, but they never saw Allah shaping your character in private. They thought your silence meant weakness, when in reality Allah was teaching you patience, discipline, and self-control. What they meant for pain, Allah used for growth. What they thought would end your story became the very thing that awakened your strength. And this is why your spirit feels different now, because once a chosen one realizes that every hardship was part of Allah's plan to elevate them, they stop crying over closed doors and start trusting the direction Allah is leading them toward. Lesson 4. Heaven celebrates when a servant refuses to give up. There were moments in your life when you felt completely exhausted emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, moments where you questioned if your prayers were even being heard and whether your struggle would ever end. But despite everything you went through, you still kept returning to Allah instead of walking away from Him, and that quiet endurance is something extremely powerful in the sight of heaven, because Allah loves the servant who continues trying even after pain, disappointment, and hardship. Many people think strong faith means never struggling, but the truth is that real faith is continuing to hold on to Allah, while carrying pain nobody else understands. This is why the stories of the prophets teach us that hardship was never a sign that Allah abandoned someone. Prophet Ayub, peace be upon him, lost his health, wealth, and even the people around him for many years. Yet he never lost trust in Allah and never allowed suffering to make him bitter toward his Creator. Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a well, separated from his father, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years even though he was innocent. But Allah was preparing him for elevation through every painful season. Even Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, faced rejection, mockery, betrayal, and deep emotional pain during the early days of Islam, especially during the year of sorrow when he lost his beloved wife Khadija and his uncle Abu Talib. Yet he still continued calling people toward Allah with patience, mercy, and strength. These stories remind you that chosen people are often tested heavily because Allah is building something greater inside them. Your struggle was never proof that Allah forgot you. It was proof that He was strengthening your soul through endurance. Every time you cried but still prayed, every time you felt weak but still trusted Allah, every time life hurt you but you refused to completely give up, heaven witnessed it. And that is why your spirit feels different now, because surviving hardship while staying connected to Allah creates a calm inner strength that cannot be easily shaken by people, pressure, or problems. The world may only see your success later, but Allah saw every hidden battle you fought to become the person you are today. And that is why the angels celebrate the servant who refuses to quit, even when life becomes heavy. Lesson 5. Your new season. One of The hardest things for a chosen one to understand is that Allah will never allow you to enter a new season of elevation while carrying the same mindset, habits, insecurities, and emotional weakness from your old season, because every new level of blessing requires a new version of you, and this is exactly why your life has felt so uncomfortable lately. Allah is not only changing your circumstances, He is changing your identity. The old version of you was built around survival. That version constantly worried about what people thought, constantly chased validation, constantly overexplained itself to people who never truly valued you, and constantly attached its happiness to human approval. You spent years trying to be accepted by people who could not even recognize your worth, because your heart was still looking for security in human beings. Instead of fully trusting Allah, you tolerated disrespect because you feared losing people. You stayed silent in situations that were damaging your peace because you feared rejection. You kept pouring your energy into relationships, environments, and conversations that were draining your soul because a part of you still believed your value depended on being needed by others. But Allah, in His wisdom, knew that version of you could never survive the future He planned for you. The blessings you are praying for require emotional discipline, spiritual maturity, wisdom, patience, and self-respect. That is why Allah allowed certain people to leave your life. That is why He allowed some seasons to become lonely. That is why He allowed disappointment to wake you up. Because sometimes isolation is not punishment, it is preparation. Allah removes noise so you can finally hear His direction clearly. Many chosen ones think they are losing everything when Allah begins separating them from toxic attachments. But what is really happening is transformation. Allah is teaching you that not everyone deserves access to your energy, your emotions, your loyalty, or your time. He is teaching you that protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. Some people only enter your life to distract you from your purpose, weaken your confidence, drain your focus, and keep you emotionally exhausted. This is why your spirit has started rejecting things that once entertained you. Conversations that used to excite you now feel empty. Places you once loved now feel heavy. People you once chased no longer feel important. Your soul is changing because Allah is aligning your heart with your next chapter. And this transformation is uncomfortable because growth always requires separation from old identities. The old version of you needed constant reassurance. The new version of you is learning to trust Allah, even when nobody claps for you. The old version of you was emotionally controlled by rejection, criticism, and people's opinions. The new version of you is slowly realizing that human approval cannot define someone already chosen by Allah. And this is why chosen ones often go through seasons where they feel misunderstood, because whenever Allah prepares someone for elevation, He first separates them from environments that no longer match their future. Look at the life of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. Allah separated him from his people, his comfort, and even placed him in the fire because his destiny required a level of faith ordinary people could not understand. Look at Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, who spent years away from Egypt in isolation before Allah called him toward leadership and purpose. Look at Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who often separated himself from society and spent time alone in the cave of Hira before revelation came to him. Allah has always prepared His chosen servants through isolation, reflection, hardship, and inner transformation before elevating them publicly. This is why your loneliness was never meaningless. Your struggle was training. Allah was removing emotional weakness from your spirit. He was teaching you how to stop depending on temporary people and start depending fully on Him. And one of the biggest signs that your identity is changing is that you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to everyone. You are becoming quieter, wiser, and more careful with your energy because pain taught you discernment. You finally understand that not every battle deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your emotional reaction. Not every relationship deserves unlimited access to your heart. This is maturity. This is growth. This is spiritual elevation. And the people around you may not fully understand this new version of you because they became comfortable with the old version who constantly sacrificed their peace to keep others comfortable. But Allah is teaching you that constantly abandoning yourself to please people is not kindness, it is self-destruction. Your new season requires boundaries. Your new season requires discipline. Your new season requires emotional control. This is why Allah allowed you to experience betrayal, because betrayal taught you to stop trusting blindly. This is why Allah allowed delays, because delays taught you patience. This is why Allah allowed heartbreak, because heartbreak forced you to seek healing through Him instead of through people. Every painful lesson was shaping the identity you now carry. And the truth is, many people will not recognize you anymore, because suffering changed you deeply. You smile differently now. You think differently now. You move differently now. There is more calmness in your spirit because you stopped expecting humans to save you. There is more strength in your silence because life forced you to heal privately with Allah. There is more wisdom in your decisions because pain exposed the true nature of people around you, and although the process hurt, it awakened something powerful inside you. You no longer panic when doors close because you trust Allah's direction. You no longer chase everyone who walks away because experience taught you that some departures are divine protection. You no longer measure your worth through popularity, attention, or validation, because Allah taught you that real value begins with your connection to Him. This is why your energy feels so different now. You are not becoming cold, you are becoming spiritually aware. You are learning that peace is more valuable than attention. Discipline is more valuable than temporary pleasure. Purpose is more valuable than fitting in. And that shift in mindset changes everything. Because once a chosen one stops seeking identity from the world and starts building identity through Allah, they become emotionally harder to manipulate. People lose control over someone who no longer needs constant approval. Fear loses power over someone who trusts Allah's plan. And distractions lose power over someone who finally understands their purpose. This is exactly why the enemy attacked your confidence for so many years, because insecurity keeps people spiritually weak, emotionally desperate, and easy to control. But Allah was slowly rebuilding your identity through every hardship you survived. He was teaching you how to stand alone without collapsing emotionally. He was teaching you how to trust His timing instead of rushing toward temporary comfort. He was teaching you how to carry pain without losing faith. And now the version of you emerging from these difficult seasons is stronger, wiser, calmer, and spiritually deeper than before. The old version of you begged for acceptance. The new version of you protects your peace. The old version of you feared being alone. The new version of you understands that loneliness with Allah is better than attachment to people who drain your soul. The old version of you constantly questioned your worth. The new version of you finally understands that your value was never determined by who stayed, who left, who supported you, or who rejected you, because Allah already chose your worth long before people formed opinions about you. And this is why your next season will feel different from anything you experienced before, because it is not only your circumstances changing, your identity is changing too. Allah is preparing you to walk with more wisdom, more discipline, more emotional stability, and more trust in Him than ever before. And although the transformation was painful, one day you will look back and realize that every heartbreak, every lonely night, every disappointment, and every difficult season was actually Allah removing the old version of you, so the stronger version He created could finally emerge. Lesson 6. Your victory became proof that Allah never abandoned you. One of the greatest lies the enemy tried to make you believe during your hardest seasons was that Allah had forgotten about you, that your pain meant you were abandoned, that your delays meant your prayers were ignored, and that your loneliness meant you were walking through life without divine support. But now that you have survived what once felt impossible, you are finally beginning to understand a powerful truth. Allah was with you the entire time, even in the moments where you felt the most broken, confused, tired, and emotionally overwhelmed. There were nights when nobody checked on you, nights where your chest felt heavy with stress and sadness, nights where you smiled in front of people while secretly fighting battles inside your mind that nobody could see. And during those hidden moments, when you felt like you were carrying the entire world alone, Allah was still protecting your soul from collapsing completely. The fact that you are still standing today, after everything you survived, is already proof that Allah never left your side. Because honestly, some of the things you experienced should have destroyed you emotionally. The betrayal you faced could have turned your heart cold forever. The disappointment you experienced could have pushed you toward hopelessness. The rejection you went through could have made you lose confidence in yourself completely. The loneliness you carried could have caused you to walk away from faith entirely. But somehow, despite all the pressure, all the confusion, all the heartbreak, and all the silent tears, something inside you kept surviving. Something inside you kept returning to Allah, even when life became difficult. And that strength did not come from you alone. That strength came from Allah, carrying you through seasons you were never meant to survive by yourself. Many people misunderstand what divine protection looks like, because they think protection means never experiencing hardship. But sometimes Allah protects a person by giving them the strength to survive hardship without losing their soul in the process. Sometimes Allah protects you by closing doors that would have spiritually destroyed you later. Sometimes Allah protects you by removing people you begged Him to keep. Sometimes Allah protects you by delaying opportunities until your character becomes mature enough to handle them wisely. And sometimes Allah protects you by allowing pain to wake you up before your entire life becomes trapped inside distractions, toxic attachments, and emotional dependency. When you look back at your journey honestly, you will realize there were many moments where Allah was guiding you, even when you could not see the full picture. There were relationships that ended because Allah saw conversations behind your back that you never heard. There were doors that closed because Allah knew success in that direction would have damaged your faith, your peace, or your future. There were delays that frustrated you because Allah knew you were not emotionally ready yet. And there were lonely seasons where Allah removed people around you because He wanted your dependence to shift away from human beings and back toward Him. This is why your survival itself became evidence of divine mercies. Because if Allah truly abandoned you, you would not still have the strength to keep going. You would not still feel the desire to pray. You would not still have hope buried somewhere deep inside your chest. The fact that your heart still turns toward Allah after everything you experienced is proof that He never stopped calling you back to Him. Look at the life of Prophet Nuh, peace be upon him, who spent hundreds of years calling people toward Allah while being mocked, rejected, and ignored by nearly everyone around him. Yet Allah never abandoned him even when it looked like he stood completely alone against the world. Look at Prophet Yaqub, peace be upon him, who cried for years after losing Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, carrying sadness so deep that he lost his eyesight from grief, yet he still never lost hope in Allah's mercy. Look at Prophet Yunus, peace be upon him, trapped inside the darkness of the whale, surrounded by layers of darkness in the sea, believing he had failed, yet Allah still heard his prayer from a place no human being could have survived alone. Even Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the most beloved servant of Allah, experienced painful rejection from people, emotional heartbreak, hunger, loss, betrayal and exhaustion. But every difficult season eventually revealed Allah's wisdom and support in ways nobody could have imagined during the hardship itself. These stories were never only meant to inspire you, they were meant to remind you that being tested is not proof that Allah abandoned someone. In many cases, the people closest to Allah experienced the heaviest struggles because hardship purified their hearts, strengthened their faith, and prepared them for higher levels of wisdom and purpose. And this is exactly what happened to you. The version of you before the pain was different. You trusted too easily. You depended too much on people. You attached your worth to validation, relationships, attention, and temporary things. But hardship forced you to grow spiritually. Pain forced you to look deeper into yourself. Disappointment forced you to stop relying on people who could never carry the weight of your destiny. And now, after everything you survived, you are finally beginning to understand that Allah was not punishing you. He was preparing you. He was teaching you how to survive emotionally, without depending on this world completely. He was teaching you how to trust Him, even when circumstances looked confusing. He was teaching you that real peace does not come from money, attention, popularity, or relationships. It comes from closeness to Him. This is why your spirit feels calmer now, not because your life suddenly became perfect, but because your perspective changed. You finally understand that every painful chapter carried hidden wisdom inside it. The betrayal taught you discernment. The loneliness taught you self-reflection. The rejection taught you self-worth. The delays taught you patience. The heartbreak taught you emotional discipline. And the struggle taught you reliance on Allah. Everything that once felt like it was destroying you was secretly rebuilding you into someone stronger, wiser, calmer, and spiritually deeper. This is why chosen ones often confuse people around them, because others only see the final strength without understanding the suffering it took to build it. People see your confidence now, but did not see the nights you cried privately. People see your wisdom now, but did not see the pain that taught you those lessons. People see your peace now, but did not see the battles you fought internally just to protect your faith from collapsing. Heaven saw every hidden moment. Allah saw every time you felt emotionally tired, but still forced yourself to keep going. He saw every silent prayer whispered through tears. He saw every temptation you walked away from. He saw every time you chose patience over revenge, discipline over destruction, and faith over hopelessness. Nothing about your struggle was ignored. Nothing about your pain was wasted. Even the moments you thought were meaningless were shaping your soul in ways you could not yet understand. And this is why your victory means something deeper than worldly success, because your greatest victory was spiritual survival. You survived seasons that should have broken your mind, destroyed your confidence, and disconnected you from Allah. Yet instead of becoming completely bitter, you slowly became stronger in faith. That is not normal strength, that is divine support. And now your life itself has become proof that Allah can rebuild a person after devastation, heal a person after heartbreak, guide a person after confusion, and strengthen a person after weakness. This is why you must never underestimate the power of your story, because there are people around you right now silently watching your life and wondering how you survived everything that was meant to destroy you. They do not understand how you still carry peace after so much disappointment. They do not understand how you still have faith after so much pain. They do not understand how you are still standing after all the emotional battles you fought privately. But the answer is simple. Allah never left you. Even during the seasons where you felt abandoned, He was protecting your heart in ways you could not yet see. Even during the seasons where you felt delayed, He was preparing your future carefully. Even during the seasons where you felt weak, He was building spiritual muscles inside you that only hardship could develop. And one day, when you fully look back on your entire journey, you will realize something that changes everything. The moments you thought Allah was far away were often the moments He was closest to you, guiding you quietly through storms that were shaping the strongest version of yourself. Conclusion. If there is one thing you must remember after hearing all of this, it is that your journey was never random. Every delay, every heartbreak, every lonely night, every betrayal, and every painful season carried a purpose that Allah already understood long before you did. The people around you may have only seen your struggle, but heaven saw your endurance. Allah saw every moment you stayed patient when you could have become bitter, every moment you kept praying while silently hurting, and every moment you chose faith even when life became heavy. That is why your story is powerful now, because you did not just survive hardship, you survived it while holding on to Allah. And that kind of strength changes a person forever. You are no longer the same version of yourself that once begged for acceptance, feared rejection, or depended completely on people for peace. Allah used your pain to wake you up, strengthen your spirit, deepen your faith, and prepare you for a future your old mindset could never handle. So do not fear the next chapter of your life. The same Allah who carried you through every storm before will continue guiding you forward. Keep protecting your connection with Him. Keep choosing discipline over destruction and peace over chaos, because one day you will fully realize that the hardest seasons of your life were actually the moments Allah was building the strongest version of you, and while the world only noticed your victory at the end, heaven celebrated every step that brought you there.